Hi, Ashley here again with a kind of trail review, I guess you can say, of the E4 on Cyprus. Yeah, basically the E4, it starts on the western part of the island and like near Paphos airport, and then comes across, well, it goes north first and then comes down, goes across the mountains and then comes down to here like Larnaca, and then ends on the southeastern tip of the island at Cape Greco. I apologise for any noise you can hear. At Larnaca airport, it's just kind of over here, and if you don't hear airplanes taking off and landing, you're going to hear helicopters, and if you don't hear helicopters, you'll hear the main road. But what can you do? Yeah, this is just this is like a picnic area I'm in. Basically, you got like a salt lake over here, and there's a mosque. There's like one of the picnic benches. It's quite a large area. There's quite a lot of benches around here. And it's just kind of like forested area, and I've just like put my tent over here for the night. And yeah, there's quite a few of these picnic areas. Most of them aren't as big as this, but they all have like picnic benches and a toilet block, drinking water. One of them even had electricity, which was really nice. But yeah, it was just kind of a handy place to slot the tent for the night. So yeah, I should. Sorry, I'm finding it difficult to get into this because I just did one film, just made one of these videos, and then watched it back and realised I've got my easts and my wests mixed up. So I'm refilming it because I don't want to look like a complete imbecile when I've, hiked all this way and still don't know me east from me west. But yeah, so this is like take number 2. Getting into it then. When I started in Paphos, a lot of my my research online said that there was a free booklet and map you could get from tourist information on the E4. So when I got to Paphos, I went into tourist information and asked if they had any info, and the woman there told me the trail doesn't exist anymore. So there's no maps or anything. She actually told me it was no access. So I was like, I've come all this way. She gave me a booklet on nature trails, which are kind of like day hikes around the island. So I took that, but it was like, well, I've come all this way to kind of hike across it. And if you've been watching a few of these videos, you might know I've used OpenStreetMap a lot, and OpenStreetMap has probably like between 80 and 90% of the trail is mapped on it. So I just thought, well, screw it, I'll follow this until I kind of can't. So that's what I did. I was surprised to find the trail is actually marked for, well, the whole thing is marked basically. It's not as good as other countries. There are kind of sections where the marking isn't there, and junctions aren't marked, but generally the marking's decent. You'd still need a map, definitely. It's marked in the Greek style, which are these kind of like I'm not sure if they're made out of metal or some kind of plastic, but they're kind of like a diamond, with like a yellow diamond with E4 in it, and usually the sign itself will be a square, but the corners of the square, like the corners that make the diamond, the corners of the square will be cut off at the edges of the diamond to kind of tell you if you're going left or right. So yeah, basically, it's marked. The whole thing's marked, just not massively well. So you still need a map. It's just there are no paper maps. So OpenStreetMap, if you follow OpenStreetMap, you can use that. There's also a guy I follow on Instagram, a French guy who goes by the name of Caminaire, and he'd left me a comment on Instagram saying that when he'd hiked this way about a year or two earlier, he'd like created a GPX track of his route. So I went to his website and downloaded that, and that gave me like, he hasn't walked all of E4, he's walked his kind of own route in a lot of places, but it was handy to have like first of all a kind of route I knew was passable, but also like an alternate route. So I kind of figured, well, if the E4 itself is blocked, then I can drop down and kind of walk Caminaire's route. So yeah, I think I did actually use that a few times. I'm not sure now. But yeah, the only time I had a problem with that was north of Larnaca, near a village called near a town called Clavdia, which is like north of Larnaca. There's the OpenStreetMap, and the route on OpenStreetMap disappears. So I'd found a route. It was a combination of Caminaire's GPX track and also just like using OpenStreetMap to plot a route using tracks that went across countryside. And I was planning on camping up there, and I looked at satellite imagery, and I found a place that looked like it'd be alright to camp. But when I got down there, they were blinking big red signs saying it's a live firing range, and I think it was an offence to go up there. What made it worse was that they actually there were tons of soldiers around on this road that I was on, and I actually had to step out of the way of like a big column of something like 30 or 40 tanks. It took like half an hour to go past. So yeah, it wasn't really an option for me to go in up there and camp, especially. So I followed the road down to Clavdia, and then there was a road north back up to Cailo Chorio to pick up the trail, which I walked, and I actually saw E4 signs along these roads, so I think that's the actual route. But between Cailo Chorio and Clavdia, there was more signs saying live firing range, and these ones were like huge, and they had skull and crossbones. But it was like an actual road going up, and it was where the E4 signs were, and there was also a few people driving past, which looked like civilians. So no one stopped and told me kind of, you can't walk up here. So I don't know if they just closed the road off when they're on exercises there or what. But yeah, that was probably the only, that was like the worst day I had really. So yeah. Other than that though, it was I didn't have any problems any other times on the trail. Yeah, there's also kind of signs like you find in most other European countries. You find signs which kind of like tell you how far it is in distance and time to the next settlement or point of interest. There are those here on Cyprus as well. I think in the east they mainly pointed to places that were off trail, so you'd get to a road and there'd be a sign saying like this village in like 3 kilometres, and it'll be symbols to tell you if there's beds there or a shop or somewhere to eat, drinking water, which handy if you're not camping, I suppose. Other than that, yeah, in other places there'll be kind of places on the trail, which is always kind of nice to see. They're quite generous in their timings as well, I thought. Yeah, it's on my note here. I'm just seeing my note about Caminaire's GPX track. I'll put a link to Caminaire's webpage in the description, and also there's a PDF file which is I think it's the old map that the tourist information don't want to give out anymore. but you can download it in PDF format, so I'll leave that in the description as well. And you can download that, and it's useful to have on your phone, but not ideal. I'd rather have something printed out. Actually reminds me, met a guy who's an American guy from Florida who passed me in his Jeep and stopped to have a word, and he was saying that he's working on bringing the E4 back. He said, I'm not sure how you can bring it back. It still exists, it's still rooted and stuff. All they need to do is promote it and publish maps for it. He was saying that he's trying to improve it and bring it back. So yeah, there might be something. I don't know what to say. Yeah, hopefully it'll be even better in a few years' time or something. He didn't have any. He said it'd probably take a while. But yeah, I think obviously 75% of this trail actually follows dirt tracks like this. So I suppose when he says about improving it, he probably means routing it onto kind of actual trail, which would be nice. What I found was, even though 75% of it is on tracks like this, or surfaced roads, it didn't annoy me as it does in other countries. And I think it's probably because I made good time and there wasn't any bushwhacking, which when I was on Crete, there'd be trails, and you'd have to often be bushwhacking and get walking through prickly bushes and stuff, which wasn't huge fun. But yeah, so yeah, I suppose that's it. The other percentage uses these nature trails, which are day hikes, which are published in a little booklet, and the E4 trail uses a few of these, which some of them are A to B routes, some of them are circular routes, and but yeah, even them trails were spot on. They were well maintained. They didn't have any. Yeah, I actually had one route, which I'm not sure if it's a nature trail or it was just like a track, but it was kind of there'd been landslips, and you could still walk on it, but obviously it was a track, but it was you wouldn't get a vehicle down there anymore because there's huge sections of it just falling away. Yeah, that was the only real difficult part of it. The rest of the time the path was easy to find, easy to follow. I actually think, even though it's you can walk the whole thing in between 2 and 3 weeks from Paphos to Cape Greco, I think if you've only got a week or two's holiday and you want to do some hiking and see as much variation as possible, I'd say there are 3 kind of main hiking areas, and that'd be the Akamas Peninsula, which is in the northeastern corner of the island, the Troodos Mountains, which are in the centre, and Cape Greco, which is on the far eastern. Yeah, Cape Greco is far east. The Akamas Peninsula is northwestern. Yeah, so I still getting mixed up. I can't believe this. 8 months I've been hiking for, and I still can't tell me east from the west. Anyway, the Akamas Peninsula is nice. It's probably the closest thing Cyprus has got to a wilderness area. It's very undeveloped. It'll take you 2 days to get across it. It basically you go up the western side of it. You go over the kind of hills and the central hills, and then you come down the western bit for a bit. Yeah, it's just undeveloped. The eastern side especially the western side especially has got these lovely kind of undeveloped, unspoilt beaches, where you have it to yourself. It's one of my favourite sections of it, basically. Yeah, in the western, the eastern side of the peninsula is it's more active because it's nearer to a town, and there's like it's a lot more touristy. That's where I saw hikers. I didn't see any on the other side, but on the eastern side I saw quite a few people. But yeah, the only problem with the Akimas is there's no accommodation, and camping is illegal on there. So if you don't want to risk wild camping, you've only got two options, and that's there's a place called Lara Beach, and there's like a restaurant there which I didn't go to, but I saw signs for it saying there was free camping there. So I think if you got a tent, you'd probably want to camp there, and then there's another campsite on the other side near the Baths of Aphrodite, which I'm not sure if that was free or not. There were people camped there, but I didn't see any signs like saying like welcome to the campsite or anything, or go here to pay or anything like that. So it might be a free campsite, I'm not sure. But I think those are your two options if you don't want to risk illegally camping. Yeah, the next place is the Troodos Mountains, which Cyprus's mountain range. They're not massive. I think the highest peak is 1,900 meters, and they're like forested. You're below the tree line everywhere basically. But I quite liked it. It was very nice, very peaceful. Again, very different to Crete. I kind of expected. Crete was very barren. There wasn't much forest at all, really, especially not in the mountains I visited. But here, it's very forested. It's very cool. Obviously, when you're up in the mountains, it's cooler anyway. But also because it's forested, it's quite shaded. It was a nice little trip. Again, most of the nature trails were in the Troodos Mountains, as well as these picnic areas, the highest concentration of them. So it was quite nice to kind of, you were able to find water. The only thing I didn't like about the Troodos, made it difficult, was a lot of these mountain villages are, empty. A lot of them didn't have any shops at all. Some of them had like cafes and restaurants, which were always shut, I found. So I'm not sure why they were closed. Whether it was just I was there the wrong time of day, or I think probably more likely just out of season. When I was there, I started in late October, so I've done most of my hiking in November. There's still saw quite a lot of tourists around, everywhere really, but these cafes and stuff were shut. So yeah, it made it difficult to resupply really, but I just carried like 4 or 5 days food. The other one is Cape Greco, which is coastal walk, and you can either walk it from Larnaca, which I think is like 2 or 3 days, or you can walk it from Ayia Napa. Between Larnaca and Ayia Napa, you're mostly on kind of roads, I think. You might be able to walk along the beaches. But I just stuck to the road. But then from kind of Ayia Napa up to Cape Greco itself, you're on like an actual path, and that's really where the nicest parts are. Because between Larnaca and Ayia Napa, you walk in, it's kind of developed hotels and stuff. But once you get past Ayia Napa, it's on an actual path. There's lots of kind of sea caves. There's a few kind of wild beaches, but mainly you're above the sea on looking at caves and kind of sea arches and stuff. It's nice. It's a nice walk. There's quite a few other people along there as well. It's not as quiet as everywhere else, but it's still nice. And the trail, you won't find many hikers outside of those 3 areas, I don't think. And even in those areas, I think the hikers that I saw were mainly like a tour group in the Akimas Peninsula. A couple, I met a Russian couple who had like big bags like me, but we didn't share enough of the same language to kind of find out if they were hiked the whole thing or not. And in the Troodos, it was mainly kind of day hikers who'd like just travel out in the car, go for a short walk along this nature trail, come back down and go. And then in Cape Greco it's the same kind of thing. People have cars and already kind of walk out from Ayia Napa. Actually outside of those areas you won't really see many other people. Yeah, the other thing is the weather. It's cloudy today, as you might be able to tell. But yeah, like I said, I did most of my walking in November, which is supposed to be the rainy season, but I only had one day of rain, which I had time for a day off, and that was when I was in the mountains as well. The rest of the time has been nice. It's been like 25 degrees in the daytime. It gets a bit colder at night, but I've been camping out every night. Well, out of the 20 days, out of the 20 nights on the trail, I camped 12 and slept in accommodation for 8. So it hasn't been too bad at night. So yeah, it just gets cloudier as the day goes on, but doesn't tend to rain very much. So yeah, I've probably missed out stuff, but yeah, this is the second time I've recorded this now, and I'm tired now. So basically, I'm gonna chill out for a bit, pack up, go to this mosque, and then go to the shop, and then go to the airport where I'm meeting a friend. So yeah, that's E4 in Cyprus. If you want to see some photos, I'll put a link to my Instagram account. I posted photos along the route, so you get like an idea of what it looks like. Other than that, if you've got any questions, if there's something I've forgotten to say, yeah, just post a comment below and I'll get back to you. So yeah, it's E4 in Cyprus. Yeah, bye bye.